blessings in the dunya and the akhirah. Yeah, in the dunya and the akhirah. So you start off with doing the tawaf, and you start doing your praise of Allah and what have you. And you start realizing and looking at all the other Muslims at the same time, that everyone's doing that same action and it's moving and flowing in the same direction. Muslims from all over the world. After that, you go behind this place. I'll show you if it's not on one of the pictures. There's Maqam Ibrahim, the station of Ibrahim. You need to pray after tawaf. You need to pray 2 rakat of nafila prayer behind the Maqam Ibrahim, and that's and the Maqam Ibrahim is like a golden cage that holds the actual a stone which the Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ used to elevate himself when he was building the Kaaba, and you can see there with the footprint of Ibrahim ﷺ. Yeah. So you pray 2 rakat there, then you go and drink some zamzam, and then you go to the place which is known as Safa Marwa. We do sa'i, running between Safa and Marwa, because Hajar al-Islam, she did the running between Safa and Marwa when Ismail was a baby, the son of Ibrahim, and he was crying out because he was thirsty, he wanted milk or water, and she was running up and down between the 2 mountains. Yeah. So you retrace those steps, and you do that 7 times, and trust me, it's not easy. Even being young, it's not easy, because at the end of it you'll be walking bent, your feet are hurting and in pain, and at the same time you're feeling that pain. You're thinking the old person, the 80-year-old, yeah, with the bent back, with the crowd, bent back, who's doing the same thing, but with but more eagerness, yeah, than you. You think, subhanallah. When they talk about Hajj and doing it as soon as possible, you know what it means. There's difficulty behind it. And then once you've done that, you go and shave your hair or trim your hair, depending on what the recommended act is to shave your hair off, all of it, using a blade. But it's not a problem if you trim it as well, trim it down. Yeah. But the Prophet ﷺ, when he talked about the shaving the head, he said shave your head 3 times, and then the 4th time, I think he said, you can trim it if you want. Yeah. So shaving the head is one of the parts of Umrah. Just before the Hajj, yeah. And then the actual Hajj, then you have, if you're doing the Hajj Tamattu, which is one of the types of Hajj, then you take off your ihram. Sorry, I forgot to mention, ihram is the clothing you wear, the two white cloths, one at the top and one at the bottom, and nothing else. You're not allowed to wear your CK, none of your shoes. You have to put sandals on. Sandals can't cover the top of your foot, special type of sandals. And you're only allowed to have those 2 cloths, yeah? And those cloths resemble the 2 cloths that you're going to be shrouded with on the day you pass away, when you're buried. Yeah, and a lot of people, they keep the ihram of Hajj for the day they pass away, so that when they get raised up in front of Allah, they can say, Allah, oh Allah, this is the same clothing I had when I went to Hajj to visit your house. Yeah, so a lot of people keep them for those reasons. So in the actual Hajj, what do you do when the Hajj days start on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah? Yeah? You put on your ihram again, because after you've shaved your head, you can take off the ihram, and all the restrictions are not applicable on you anymore. But then when the days of Hajj start, which last about 5 days, you need to put the ihram back on and make sure that you follow the rules of Hajj again and ihram. So you put the 2 cloths on, and you make your way to Mina. Mina is a big city, a tent city with thousands upon 100,000s of tents, where all the Muslims go and stay the night there, and they stay with in different camps. The way they've got it divided at the moment is different countries go to different camps, but all the Muslims go to Mina and they stay there and camp there for 1 night, and then they go to Arafah, which the Prophet ﷺ said that Arafah is Hajj. The standing on the mountain of Arafah is Hajj. Yeah. So you go from Mina, then you go all the way to, there's about 20 or so kilometers between Mecca and Arafah. So you go from Mina to Arafah, which is the next day on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. You need to arrive there for noon, for Dhuhr Salah. Many Muslims pray and listen to the khutbah in Masjid al-Nimrah, which is within Arafah. But because of the amount of people, not everyone will have the opportunity. Because how big it is, they won't have the opportunity. Okay. So anywhere on the mount and the plains of Arafah, you need to find a space, and from noon to Maghrib, it's just about doing dua. And this is where you see, subhanAllah, and this is where your emotions start rising. You see everyone there, they're crying, they're doing the dua to Allah, and this is an opportunity for all the Muslims who are there to open their hearts up and connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, so myself, me, my brother, and another brother from East London went. Because everyone was crowded, and you can't, when you're in front of everyone, you can't connect with Allah. You have that self-consciousness. Yeah, you want to go, you don't want that crying and what have you. Yeah, you want to go in a quiet spot which will help you connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we went behind one of these camps, yeah, and there's a lot of noise in that camp and what have you. So it was disturbing us. So we thought, all right, let's go and have a word with them. One of the brothers who came out that camp was, Hajj from local brother. So look, man, you've been making a lot of noise, disturbing my Hajj. But then you see a lot of people, they come and they're praying, they're crying, they're in groups and individually. Everyone's looking for a small spot to go and pray, yeah. But where we were, it was all right for a while. Then this Pakistani group came and they did this collective, singing, yeah. So that kind of diverted attention as well. But inshallah, there's a reward behind that as well. And then from Arafah, once you finish, when it's Maghrib, time for Maghrib, you don't pray Maghrib in the mountains of Arafah. You have to go to Muzdalifah, which is here now. So you make your way back this way, and you go to Muzdalifah, and you pray Maghrib and Isha together. You combine the prayer. And this is a place which is open, and there's nothing, it's open, it's very flat, and there's mountains on the sides quite far, but this is an open area where all the Hajjaj, all the people on Hajj, everyone has to sleep in the open. You're not allowed to cover your head or your face, yeah? And everyone has to sleep in the open, and this is one of the rules of being in Muzdalifah. And a lot of people collect the stones which they're going to throw at their shaitan later on as well. So once you're there, you stay there for that night, and at Fajr time you make your way back to Mina. Yeah, you come back to Mina where you've got your encampment and what have you, and then you go to stone the shaitan, the big shaitan. You've seen maybe on TV or pictures where you've got pillars, and that represents shaitan, where Ibrahim al-Islam, when he was going to obey Allah to sacrifice his own son, shaitan tried to come and divert him 3 times, and Ibrahim al-Islam stoned the shaitan I think 7 stones each time. And this is where you retrace those steps, like I said before, you retrace the steps of Ibrahim al-Islam, and you do that stoning. Obviously there's people who go a bit over the top. I mean, you've seen that. You get the shoes off, the bata, and then they chuck it. Yeah, others, the Afghans want to get out the bazooka. But it's only symbolic, yeah. It's only about doing what Ibrahim al-Islam did, yeah. You don't have to go over the top and try and break down the whole pillar, yeah. Because there won't be nothing there for the other judge to do, yeah. So, and you see a lot of that, but and it's really crowded, and it's quite dangerous at times as well over there. And then when you do that, after the stoning, you go and sacrifice a lamb. Everyone who's got the capability has to sacrifice a lamb because Ibrahim al-Islam, he went to sacrifice his son for the sake of Allah, but he gave him replaced it with a lamb and said, "That's enough. You've obeyed my order, and you don't have to sacrifice your son. Sacrifice the lamb instead." And that will become Eid al-Adha everywhere else. And that day of sacrificing the lamb is Eid al-Adha. There's no Eid prayer for the people in Hajj or the Hajjaj. Yeah, there's no Eid prayer for the people in Hajj. And then once you do that, then you go and shave your hair off again if you haven't done it first time round. Because the other types of Hajj, people just go straight into it without doing the Umrah first. Yeah. And then you shave your hair, and then you do another tawaf around the Kaaba, and that's your Hajj fulfilled. And then that's when everyone's happy, hugging each other, they're ringing home, telling everyone, "Yep, I've done the Hajj, and I've done du'as for you," and what have you. And that atmosphere again is a very emotional atmosphere, and it's something which it lasts with you forever. And that feeling is something that you can't get again, because now you've known that I've done Hajj. And a Muslim has to believe that Allah has accepted his Hajj. You can't say, "Oh, Allah has not accepted my Hajj," unless you break one of the major rules.